it's Gina. Welcome to the TheReBookery channel. This video I wanted to spend some time talking to you about how I made the transition from traditional 12 by 12 scrapbooks into scrapbooks that were more customized and original by using old vintage ephemera, papers, and storybooks. So this started with a couple of scrapbooks that I made back in 2008. And basically I just took some old books that I had. I'm a book collector, and so I had some pretty disheveled books. I took a couple old books that I had and then just some of my regular scrapbooking supplies. So nothing fancy, like an alphabet sticker page, maybe some ledger or some label stickers, a pair of scissors, a glue stick, some random scrap paper that I had, and then a stack of photos that I had from my boys in the summertime. So from these materials, I was able to sit down at the coffee table one day after work, turn the TV on, and just start cutting and pasting. And I didn't really know where I was going with this. I knew I wanted to use this book that I had found at a garage sale that most people would have thrown away. It was called The Little Trapper. It was a little golden book, but it was just something about this book. It reminded me of my boys, not because they hunt or because we live in the wild frontier, but just something about the sweet illustrations and the story in that particular book reminded me of my boys that summer. So I started with one of my scrap pieces of paper, and it I think it was like this one right here, and I said, okay, this is going to be my size. So I cut out the cover, front cover from the actual golden book, made it that size. I kind of put a little flap up here so it looked like a file folder, and then I made all of the rest of my pages either this size or smaller. And so then I just started adding my pictures of my boys. And I knew that I couldn't mess this up because I could reprint the pictures if I needed to. And the book was pretty much destroyed anyway. So I knew I wasn't going to lose anything other than my time. So having that freedom just really kind of allowed me to just create. So I would add pictures onto cardstock or scrapbook paper, and then I would cut out images from the actual storybook. Now the funny thing is that the book is about these two little Indians and how they're going out in the woods and they make friends with the animals. It has totally nothing to do with my boys this summer. My boys were crazy little firework, having water balloon throwing, bicycle riding, you know, just typical boy stuff in the suburbs. And so it didn't match, like the story did not match with the pictures, but that's okay because this was not supposed to be a literal interpretation of this book. I just was using the book to enhance the story of my boys. So I was okay with that. If you were looking for more of a literal scrapbook, then this might not work for you. But this was kind of where I was headed. I was kind of bored with doing the 12 by 12 scrapbooking and using the same supplies over and over again. And so this really kind of opened up all kinds of doors and all kinds of opportunities because there's books everywhere that you're, you know, that are torn apart and falling apart that you can absolutely use to enhance a story that you want to tell with your photos. And so that was the first one. And once I made that one, I was like, okay, I cannot stop. This is just too cool. So I made another one about that same summer. This one, I made it a little more neat and prescribed. This book was it was a smaller book. like, let me see here. The little trapper one I made came from a regular sized little golden book. But this one was a Whitman Tiny Tot Tales book, so it was actually smaller than the Telltales. It was a little bit smaller than this. And so what I did was made sure that my pictures would be the same size as the pages in the story. Now for this one, I kept the complete story. I kept the entire story. So you could actually read this as a storybook. So I just started with taking the actual cover. The paper was pulling away from the cardboard. So I just went ahead and pulled it all off and then re-glued it onto some new cardboard. And then I would just kind of followed a pattern of, I would have a page from the story and then back it with one of my photos. Now again, this is not a literal interpretation because we live in Kansas City, Missouri. We don't live near a beach, but in this story was called Fun at the Beach. But this was a story about how my daughter was a lifeguard that summer. And so the boys and I spent a lot of time going down to the swimming pool where she was lifeguarding. And then we also spent a lot of time at a really big water park that we have here just north of Kansas City. And so we had season passes that year. And so we thought that was kind of cool because we could just go whenever we wanted. So again, has nothing to do with the beach, but the story is just there to enhance the story that I'm trying to tell with my photos. The supplies I used here were very, very minimal. It was one sticker sheet that I think I got like at Walmart or something. It wasn't anything fancy. It was just a sticker sheet that had pool and summertime sayings on it. This time I used, instead of the Zutter Bind It All, which is the O-rings that I used on this, I just used these ring binder clips. And I like how it held up. And I like these because I can open them up and add more stuff if I wanted to. And so finished the book with final pages from our summer and then the final page from the book, which is a great way to kind of end the scrapbook. And then I just wrote on the back some of our specifics, you know, what we did, where we went, and then added just some fun little trims. So after I made these two, I couldn't stop. I just kept adding more and more books to my stash, especially ones that were falling apart, and kept thinking these are going to make great scrapbooks. So fast forward now to 2016, 2017, in my Etsy store, I have a lot of these little mini books that I have turned into a ready-made scrapbook so that you could do the same thing. Just add your story and your photos. So this one, I love this one because it's called A Day with My Dad. So this would be a great scrapbook that you could use if you were trying to document a day spent with Dad. The original story is intact, so it's actually a scrapbook. It doesn't have to be a literal interpretation of A Day with Dad. This could be just a day with the family together, or if you wanted to document your child spending time with an uncle or a grandpa, this would be a great place for you to document it and have a one-of-a-kind scrapbook that is not going to be one that you see ever again. I mean, like this is the one and only that I've made. So in between the pages of the actual book, I have put in high quality cardstock. I was pretty snooty whenever I used to do the 12 by 12 scrapbooking, and so I loved my thick cardstock, so I have a lot of that left over, and I love to use it in these little mini scrapbook albums. It's a great place to just add you know, your photo, put a little glue on the back, stick it right here. You don't even have to add journaling because the story itself could be your journaling. I add some envelopes. with some little hidden journaling tags. So if you wanted to write something about the time that they spent together, you could put those, tuck them in a little envelope, or maybe some tickets or some extra pictures that you had left over from the day. And then here's the back. The other one was, this was a kind of a quirky little story called Percy the Platypus. Again, especially us here in America, we don't spend a lot of time with platypus, but this is not, doesn't have to be a literal story. If I were to use this, I would scrapbook. As I was making it, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this would be a great scrapbook for my youngest son, who this kid could spend every waking moment outside at the pond that's right behind our house, catching frogs and fishing and catching turtles. So this would be a great scrapbook for recording those memories. Now, I added a lot of pinks into this scrapbook because I didn't want it to be necessarily just for boys. This could be a scrapbook that girls could put in here too, especially if they were nature lovers, or a journal. You don't have to necessarily put pictures in these. You could write about or draw, or if you go outside, spend a lot of time outside in nature, this would be a great place to record your findings or to record what you see. If you have a garden, or if you have animals that you are taking care of, this would be a great place to record your observations. And then the last one I wanted to show you was a Winnie the Pooh, The Blustery Day. Again, in my mind, I'm thinking this would be a great scrapbook for, it could be a day, like if you had a day adventure or a day picnic, or just spent a day outside. This would be a great place to record those memories. So for this one, I have some old tablet paper backed with some old maps. I put in just some quirky little playing cards to kind of match the theme. And again, I have the super thick cardstock with some ledger paper that you could put journaling. This could be for both boys and girls. Or it doesn't even have to be about children. This could be a great scrapbook for adults as well, that just love Winnie the Pooh, or love the theme of woodland and forest and that type of stuff, nature type of stuff. So, oh, I love this one. This is some pattern paper. It comes in large sheets, like embroidery pattern paper, and I love to back it onto some thinner paper because it makes it nice and thick for journaling, or if you wanted to add some thicker markers and you didn't want to worry about those bleeding through. And then I always love to add some vintage wrapping paper just because it's so fun and whimsical. So in my shop, I have those mini books, but I also have so many more. So these can be used as scrapbooks and journals and diaries and notebooks and pretty much any place where you just wanted to document your feelings, your pictures, your thoughts, your ideas. So check out my Etsy shop, TheReBookery, and I always do custom orders. If you would like to see a flip through of one of the other ones that I didn't do, just let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.